Hey folks, welcome to this new episode of the Tough Cut Podcast. Just wanted to give a little warning. We're using a new recording software, and it had a soundboard functionality. Unfortunately, that soundboard did not record into any of the audio. So you might hear us referencing, a new intern. His name is Craig, and he's making some funny sounds using a keyboard. Unfortunately, none of that recorded. So, there's a little bit of silence here and there. Bear with us. Thanks. Hello and welcome back. This is the Tough Cut Podcast, episode 104. This one is going to be interesting because I know we've joked about it a lot in the past. We have actually hired an intern this time. Yeah. He's in charge of sound effects. So, let's get an audience clap for our new intern. That's a duck. That's a duck. Craig, you're on.
I swear to God.
There we go.
There he goes. Good job, Craig.
Well, yeah. Welcome to the new Tough Cut studio. We're a big budget podcast now.
This is why we pay them in college credit and not give them real money.
Yeah.
If only you could pay editors in college credit. Anyway, hello and welcome back. If you've been with us before, we're the Tough Cut Podcast, and I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jakers.
And
damn it.
As
no word
Alex
from Craig. No word from Craig.
Said, this is episode 104, part 3 of the Alex bracket. Coming at you in today's episode. We've got Shrek versus Jurassic Park, and then in the back half, we've got Kung Pao Enter the Fist versus Princess Bride. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Yeah.
I mean, look, I know. You sounded like you were gonna say something. So
I know. I was about to dive in, and then I was like, "Wait, Jake has."
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, look, we're gonna be spoiling these movies. If you don't know how Shrek ends, it has one of the biggest plot twists in this side of the century. So go watch that before you listen to this. I actually don't want you to listen to this episode if you haven't seen the ending of Shrek and don't know about the twist.
Okay. I can't tell if you're making a joke about a twist in Shrek, or if it's like Princess is ogre, or if it's like donkey horny for dragon.
What? I haven't seen Shrek yet. And we did that skit to tell you what it would look like if you get spoiled. So no spoilers, because there will be ones ahead.
That was all stuff we made up, if you've never seen Shrek.
Yeah. That was all made up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome, man. I'm so good at my job.
Professional podcasters.
Let's do it. Should we just dive right in?
I'm ready to dive.
All right. I picked these movies. First one is Shrek. It's about an ogre, and he is happy in his swamp, but then he's like, what if life was different? And then he finds love. And the other one is Jurassic Park, and they're like, I'm happy on my island, but what if it was different? And then there were dinosaurs. Honestly, these movies are about a bunch of green guys. What's up with that?
Green?
Wait, what?
Are dinosaurs green?
Pretty sure the T-Rex is greenish. It's like a
I'll take it.
That could be true.
You ever think about if you have a kid, then you could tell them that the color green is blue and train them from an early age. And
you could take a step back from that, Jake. You could have a kid and completely fuck their life by lying to them.
Don't say it that broad. Say it in the fun, whimsical way I did. Don't
what if you just teach your kid that cats are dogs and dogs are cats, so they just are fucked up and everyone makes fun of them when they go to school.
Yeah, but what if that is the truth to them? We're all making this up, right? It's all a social construct. All words are made up.
Yeah, dude, it's like the allegory of the cave.
Oh, yeah. We're philosophers, basically.
Wow. Yeah, the Tough Cut are modern day philosophers. Catch the category on iTunes changing from comedy podcast to educational.
We should try just for one episode to just do philosophy.
Yeah.
But
Matt tries so hard.
Exactly. But I want him to try, and then I want you and I to just be little demons.
Yeah, I think that's the average podcast experience.
This is probably true.
With that said, kind of comparing these movies, in classic Tough Cut fashion, I think there's an important question at stake here.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Shrek is able to subdue a dragon. What about a dinosaur?
I mean, I
Shrek,
think so, right?
toe
Like,
to
it's
toe, no prep time.
he had very little prep time for the dragon, right? Like, he was just kind of going in. Like, I think he obviously can take a dinosaur, right? The dragon is just a big dinosaur, but it can breathe fire and also fly. Like, what does a dinosaur have that the dragon doesn't have? Unless it's
I
like a
don't
bunch
know.
of velociraptors. I don't think Shrek could take on a bunch of velociraptors.
I think,
Really?
honestly, I think that's the one thing he can do. You remember that fight? One of my favorite scenes that I think of in the Shrek franchise, actually, is when he's in the ring with the fight. Yeah, and he's like, he gets the beer keg and he like splits it open and does the wrestling thing. Like, I think he would do that with a bunch of Veloci's.
Low-key, one of my favorite lines in the entire movie is during that scene when Lord Farquaad is like, "Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make."
That's literally what the creator of Jurassic Park said. Like, they're the same.
Wow, Farquaad and John Hammond, same man?
Same man. Honestly, these are also both like classics. And so something I love dearly about you, Alex, is like how you I feel like you embody those classics, Like you are such a classic friend and like such a good, genuine like friend. Like textbook almost, Like you can have weird little guys like Matthew and I, but I don't think you'd call Matthew and I like textbook friends. I think that you're like you are the embodiment of a classic. And I know we give you a lot of shit for your like movie taste sometimes, but like I think it's good. Like there's a reason why these are classics for a reason. Like they're just good movies and you're just a good person. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I feel like I'm just like a standard sitcom side character that's just like the roommate of the main character.
Aww.
Sometimes be going through it, but is always just kind of there. That's how I feel sometimes.
Again, main characters overrated. Everyone who watches a show, they never watch it for the main character. It's always for the side.
Also, being that sitcom side character, you're cashing a fat paycheck and not having to work as hard.
Love that. Love that for me.
Yeah. The piece I'll throw out, similar to the point Jake is kind of making. You are the audience surrogate in many ways on some of your movie tastes. Like you bring films the audience wants to see to the table a lot of the time, and this idea of like bringing the classics, I think, is hugely resonant in pitching Shrek and Jurassic Park. Obviously, normally a lot of pretentious movie snob people are like, oh, that's classic. They're talking about, Orson Welles or something. But when we get down to it, Shrek's in the Library of Congress too, man.
Yeah. I don't know. My brain is like so stupid. When you said Shrek is in the Library of Congress 2, I thought that was the title of a movie. Like I thought it was some National Treasure type shit. I was like, what's happening? I'd watch.
And like that, I think, is part of what complicates this matchup in my head, is this idea that these are broadly loved films, and having a part of your contributions to the show and part of your taste kind of being like relatability. These are both super relatable movies to love.
Mm-hmm.
Just what I thought you meant in general. It's like it's super relatable to be on an island full of dinosaurs. Well, I don't know what kind of rich shit you're on, Matthew, but like not all of us could do that.
Yeah, we got a property owner over here.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a big question, right? Of like, both of these movies are classics, but which one is more of a classic for me? I think a lot of people love these movies, like you said. So it's really a question of, do the people who love those movies love Alex?
I think they're legally obligated to, but
some of them don't know you yet,
just like a handful.
Red flag.
Honestly, true.
It is a red flag. If you don't know Alex, that's a red flag to me.
It also means you're not listening to this show, which is really complicated if you're hearing this right now.
I rigged all Walmarts in my area to play this over the speakers, so we get more exposure.
We should partner with Uber, so Uber drivers are like legally required to play our podcast while they have a customer in the car.
God,
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go. You go.
One of my favorite podcasts, one of the hosts made a remark, like, well after they were mainstream enough to be like popular, well-known, successful careers out of it. And the host is like, yeah, back in the day, I would take like Uber drivers' phones and subscribe them to the show. And it's like, odds are they'll never unsubscribe from it. And the other host chimes in and is like, you still do that. And he's like, gotta grind for one listener at a time.
I mean, kind of honestly, I literally always thought, like, you know, the meme or like Uber listeners, like, oh, let me listen, like, let me put you on my mixtape or let me do whatever. I was in LA, it was October, and literally,
Hey there.
they literally were like, hey, I have a mixtape. Like, do you want to listen? And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I felt like I made it somehow. You know, I felt like I had somehow got famous by listening. Like I had that story. Because
So funny.
yeah, that was strange. Anyway, way off topic. But
yeah, circling back to this idea of what is more Alex, I think that there is like, similar to the experience we had in the Jake bracket, and separating Jake from the Muppets, there is this piece of separating Alex from Shrek that is nigh impossible to do.
It's hard.
I feel like at some point you've got to confront like this question of like what truly is more Alex, and try and separate the association from the reality. And I think that is something that like I'm still working through in measuring these movies. I mean, I know that you like proudly said when we first talked Jurassic Park that you were not a dino kid.
Yeah, you know, having...
And that pisses me off still, sorry.
Honestly, having like 2 weeks or however long to think about it, I think I was wrong. I think I was a dino kid, and I just like didn't know it. I was in the dark.
Man got accused of being a dino kid. Thank you,
Craig.
To the studio audience. Man got accused of being a dino kid and had such an immediate negative reaction to it that he denied it vehemently.
And we said it like with so much heart. We said it with so much positivity. I was like, yeah, Alex is definitely dino kid vibes. And you're like, no.
I don't think it was like an aggressive, denial.
I felt he slapped me through the recording. Like it was like aggressive. You left a handprint.
You physically slapped Craig.
He was still interviewing though, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Good process.
Had to know if he could take it.
Jesus, Craig. This is why he's gonna get an evil alter ego or something, and
well, that'd be crazy.
We're getting into so much lore that no one is gonna care about.
No one has any context for. So, brass tacks on these films.
Yeah.
Jake. What's your sort of gut reaction here? You know, like how are you so far in separating the Alex from the Shrek association? Can you judge this objectively, or like where are you at?
Well, he kind of threw me for a loop because I was going to bring up the Dino Kid thing, because if you were like a Dino Kid and me, my headcanon, I picture little Alex, I picture him with his little Pokemon games and little dinos and making them kiss and be like, why does that make my body feel weird? And so I that's how I thought. But then he said no so aggressively the last time we talked about these movies that it really took me out of it. And with Shrek, I've never felt conflicted. I know that he's through and through. If this is the Alex bracket, like it is hard. I feel like
he's bringing you back into the Dino Kid, though. He just
said
out and proud Dino Kid. So now
let me put you guys on something. Okay. You guys remember? God, what was it?
That was sexy.
It might have been a DreamWorks movie. You remember that movie that was just dinosaurs? Today. Yeah, I was out drinking and singing last night. So
I'm into it. Like,
anyway, you guys remember that? I think it was DreamWorks movie, Dinosaurs.
Yes.
Yes. So my brother and I got these 2 like stuffed animals that were merch from that movie, and it was like a dinosaur egg stuffed animal that if you turned it inside out turned into a baby dinosaur. Very cool. And it had a voice box, and if you clicked it, it would talk. And it had a couple lines, and I remember all of them because my brother and I would click it. It would say one of them, click it again, and it would say the next one. So they were, I'm a dinosaur. Let's play. Rah. And then this last one was just it burping, and it would go.
There's
And
someone
we-
out there
we
that
did
owns
that.
that same toy and is now like being forced to reckon with, oh my
Wow.
god, I had that too.
My
And now
parents,
you know Alex a little more.
they had to listen to us play all of those on repeat for, God, minutes at a time. And let me tell you, it only takes minutes for you to hate that toy.
You saying minutes at a time really got me. But see, that's what I picture. Like that is
Yeah.
little kid Alex to me. Especially, come on, the brother angle. We all know Alex. We love brothers here at the Tough Cut. That's what tickles me. Did you ever? Okay, I have a question for you, Alex.
Uh-huh.
Oatmeal. How you feel about it?
Don't like it.
Did you ever try the oatmeal with dino eggs in it?
I actually don't think I did.
I was convinced when someone told me about it, like 2-3 years ago, that it was not real. And someone was playing a trick on me, and they were gaslighting me. And then I saw it. I saw dino eggs, and then I remembered, oh no, I've had dino eggs in oatmeal before. And that's just my short little story. But I was really hoping you liked oatmeal with dino eggs.
You guys
I
remember the
Love dinosaur oatmeal. Sorry to interrupt you, Alex, but this is really emotionally important to me.
I knew someone would have a strong reaction. I feel like 1 in 3 people have a strong reaction to dino cereal or no,
Tiny
oatmeal.
piece I'll throw out on it. It's spent years. Dino oatmeal. It's awesome. It's basically just brown sugar oatmeal with tiny sugar dinosaurs in it, but they hatch when you put the water in.
That reminds me. Do you guys remember the you go to Dollar Tree and you get those like little pills that they like look like pills that you would like swallow, except you put them in a bathtub or something, and they inflate into little like sponges.
Yeah, and then you swallow them.
And then
Try
you
it at
swallow
home,
them,
kids.
and then you got dinosaurs inside you, or sometimes zoo animals.
Dinos Inside You is just the name of our concept album.
Anyway, so I don't know. It might be points off of Jurassic Park that you haven't had dino oatmeal, Alex. But that's something I need to consider.
I haven't had dino oatmeal, but I did go on like a hostel trip with my grandma where we went. It was like an archaeology kind of trip. It was a science trip, and we went digging for bones.
Your grandma stayed in a hostel?
It was an elder hostel, yeah.
Huh. Why does that sound like a video game? What is an elder hostel? What do you mean?
That's what it's called. And I remember I met this kid, and we talked about Shaolin Showdown. I was like 8 years old when I went on this elder hostel, and I did not find any dinosaur bones, but I found lots of shark vertebra. Yep.
Are sharks dinosaurs?
No, but they're as old as dinosaurs.
Yeah. Different creatures. Dinosaurs doesn't just refer to the time period.
I don't know, man. Aren't alligators dinosaurs?
No.
I think you're wrong, actually.
They're reptile. They're both reptiles.
Yeah, but I think alligators like came from dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are not reptiles. They're dinosaurs. They're a different thing.
Oh, see, he's fact checking us with his dino knowledge.
What the hell are you guys talking about?
Aren't some birds dinosaurs?
Birds are descendants of dinosaurs. They are more closely related to dinosaurs than reptiles are.
Just like we're kind of like the closest DNA that we have is to a banana.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say that you two.
No, Google that shit. Like our bananas, we share almost like 70% of our like DNA with bananas.
Yeah, but we're not closest to bananas.
Well, we don't share 70% of our DNA with anything else.
We should probably share more than 70% with a chimpanzee, Jake.
What the fuck are you talking about?
This is that meme where it's like a text conversation between Shadow and Rouge, and Eggman walks up and is just, "What the fuck are you two talking about?"
I feel lost right now.
Should we vote?
I guess we can. I feel like this conversation has just been us briefly using Shrek or Jurassic Park to talk about a new tangent. That's all this has been.
Honestly, that feels very Alex Brackett to me.
But I gave very good in the beginning, talking about the classics and stuff. You know,
I gave very good.
I gave very good.
All right, Jake.
Jake, know the banana thing is real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vote. Jake has to vote.
Is that true?
I decree it. Jake, vote.
Can I vote for banana?
No. There are 2 movies. No Ghost Rider either.
Damn.
Okay, you know what? Justice for Dinos. I'm voting Jurassic Park here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn. Justice for Dinos really makes me want to vote for Jurassic Park.
That's a good line, Jake. That's a good line.
But I'm a make Alex choose between his children, his ogre children, or his reptiloid dinosaur children. So I'm gonna vote for Shrek.
Well, according to Jurassic Park, those dinos weren't supposed to have any children, and it's bad that they did, because that means there are more dinos than there should be, and they can't regulate the park. So I'm gonna vote for Shrek.
Damn.
We don't get to talk about capitalism.
Frog DNA.
We got to talk about bananas.
Still talk about capitalism.
Well, yeah, like in general, but like one day we'll have Jurassic Park back on the show, and I can really get into it.
Oh, you want to talk about the whole like park? You know, like they're monetized the danger
in the spared no expense, when actually, essentially, you know, he's a marketing guy, and that's basically he did not spare. I mean, he spared lots of expenses. Anyway.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about it with the Lord Farquaad comparison, you know.
My favorite thing is that Michael Crichton was involved in. I mean, he wrote Jurassic Park, but he also was involved in Westworld, so it really just turns out that he hates theme parks.
That makes sense. And with that, Shrek advances, and Alex's ogre children live another day. We will have to, unfortunately, unceremoniously send the reptiloids back to the center of the earth. Thank you, Craig. That's what we call comedic timing, baby. And Alex, you want to go ahead and introduce the other matchup in this bracket?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how or why, but we picked Kung Pao Enter the Fist to move on. This
not
is
a strong start for.
No, it's so funny. Like, this movie does have a lot of emotional resonance for me, and like, you know, my memories with it, things like that. The strong memories of like rewatching it and things like that in college. This is a dubbed over Chinese karate film or kung fu movie, and he CGI'd himself into it and rewrote the story, and there are aliens in it. Pretty fun. And then there's also Princess Bride, classic romance fantasy comedy, simultaneously inventing and tearing apart the form. Very wonderful.
Nice. Thank you for that, Alex.
You're such a sweet little boy. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, like, how dare you? Like, I was like reflecting on my picks for you know, the jacket, and like, and then compared to your pick, like, you just have sweet little movies. I'm just thinking of like The Princess Bride and how like sweet of a little movie it is, you know? And it kind of pisses me off how sweet you are. Anyway.
Vanilla Boy, the podcast.
I love this man. I'd go to war for this man.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's my contribution. What were you going to say, Matthew?
I was just going to launch us into a first possible topic of conversation.
That's not what we do here.
Oh, sorry. I'll revise. Pivot. So I think that there is a piece where both of these films there are elements of subversion and parody to the genres they come from. It's very, very, very clear how Kung Pao Enter the Fist is parodying the sort of wuxia, like martial hero genre. Yeah, like that one, that's just at face value. But similarly, like in Princess Bride, there are also definitely elements where it is engaging in subversion or parody. A lot of that becomes very evident through the frame story element of it. You know, the grandson like being like, well, you know, like, why isn't the bad guy getting his comeuppance, sort of thing. And like ultimately the story ends on a positive note. But there are bits and pieces that I think are pretty evidently parody. And I just want to get like, what are your guys' sort of takes on that idea? How do we like the ways that these movies are subversive or the ways that they use their parody? Yeah.
I mean,
Alex,
I think
take it away.
From a young age, I've always loved parody.
Mhm.
You know, like, and I
very
think
evident from what
very
we've got in
evident
this
in the
bracket.
movies that I have picked.
Mhm.
Like, I've always loved comedy, and I think, you know, I feel like that is something that little kids love, right? It's like, once they understand something, when it's not that way, it's like, ha ha ha, so funny. And so I think, like, these movies, watching them as a little kid, like, just meant so much to me because I enjoyed them so much. I think they both do it very well, and for, like, in very different ways, where, like, obviously Kung Pao does a ton of parody, but as, like, a little kid, I hadn't seen many of those, like, martial hero movies, right? So it was just like oh, this is funny because it does parody, but it is also just very funny. Meanwhile, I feel like watching Princess Bride, I always just, like, loved it as a movie. I didn't necessarily realize how much of a parody it was until I watched it when I was older, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I remember rewatching it recently and being like, wow, wait, this is really funny, which is not what I necessarily expected from it. So, yeah, I think Kung Pao Enter the Fist feels very funny on its own. I feel like Princess Bride took a little bit for me to get, but I very much appreciate it now.
I feel like Princess Bride is one of those movies, and this is like one of my favorite kinds of movies, where you watch it as a kid, you like it for one reason, and then you watch it again in different parts of your life, and you like it again for like different reasons. And I think that's like everyone has those movies with them. And this one makes complete sense for you, Alex, like to like it in all these different periods of like time, you wholesome motherfucker. You know, like I think there's something really special about that as a movie, just as a movie that Princess Bride does. Kung Pao Enter the Fist, like, you know what you're getting into. It's a rip roar in time, and it's like a very specific, like, very good memories associated with the movie. But I think there's something like complex and something like really emblematic of your growth as a person that Princess Bride through these years has given you all these different things. And that's something I really like.
Yeah, I very much agree with your take there, Jake. Especially related to Princess Bride. I think it is a movie that begs the question on the viewer recontextualizing it as they sort of familiarize themselves both with genre tropes and then also just like as a film in and of itself. It is possible to view The Princess Bride straight up, you know, like especially as you kind of described as being a kid, Alex, and watching it. And taking the story sort of at face value for what it's worth. It still does tell like this heroic tale and sort of faded and with elements of faded love. And it isn't until you have the opportunity to contextualize all of that it becomes an effective parody, essentially. And I just think that is like a very cool relationship for a movie to have, or a very cool thing that a movie can do. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I literally feel like you watch it as a kid and you were the little kid, or like, ew, the kissing parts, ew, like the stuff, and then eventually just like liking it because it's like pirates or like, you know, whatever thing. And then like you slowly, the way the movie is like made, when you get older, you slowly are on the side of like, you know, the grandfather, the side of all these things, and it's like, oh, that's amazing, like passing down this like the way to tell a story and the way to experience a story, I think is like really cool. And I like it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's easy to fall in love with this movie as a kid, too, right? Like, it's got one of the greatest sword fights, I think, in cinema history. That's a good question. Which of these movies do you think has better action scenes? Because, like, obviously this is, like, one of, in my opinion, the best sword fights in movie history. But I think at the same time, like, the way that Kung Pao Enter the Fist had to, like, film its action sequences to like put him into them with green screening the guy with the boombox in the background. Like, there's a lot of very fun, creative stuff happening in those.
It's creative action. So I want to honestly give it to Kung Pao Enter the Fist because like Princess Bride, that scene is very fun and very cool. There's something very nostalgic about that fight and very, very like good. But it is just like kind of, that one that stands out to me. I think all the other action set pieces, like, they're enjoyable, but I think the creativity that goes into Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I think, give it a slight edge in that regard. You got me thinking of sword fights now. I was just thinking of the three-way sword fight between Will,
Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Yeah.
It's a good one.
God, that one's so good.
Maybe we'll do a sword fight bracket.
Ooh.
Where we watch an entire 3-hour movie for one 5-minute sword fight.
Well, that could be like a speed bracket bonus episode. We do best duels scenes.
That's a good idea.
There's actually a lot that come to my mind.
Craig, note that down for us.
Rango.
Anyway, jumping back to the central question. Jumping back to the central question that Alex posed here. There is something undeniably impressive about what Kung Pao Enter the Fist manages in terms of its action, given the way that it has to film it. It is really pretty remarkable and very, very creative. And is one of the, in my opinion, coolest things about that movie is, like, we talked about this, I think, a little bit last time, but ostensibly taking something that already exists and recontextualizing it to fit the narrative, scene structure, and other things that, like, you're trying to put together. With that said, you got to put some respect on the name of upfront, good direction, acting, choreography that Princess Bride is able to do. It is, as Alex said, one of the best sword fights in film, for what I think are very evident reasons.
Name them.
Apparently when they were filming it, they, like, choreographed the whole thing. Carrie Elwes and Mandy Patinkin, like, learned it, and then they, like, showed it to the director, and the director was like, "That's really good. Let's make it twice as long."
Nice.
So they had to, like, double the whole length of it.
God, never be too good at your job, or you'll get more work.
The life of the best supporting, sitcom character. You just roll up for those one-liners, baby, and collect your royalties for the rest of forever.
Yeah, get out of there.
Not to actually name them, but there's lots of very good things about it. Choreography is great. The infusing humor into it, sort of, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, using the way talk, like, that's how, like, I picture Alex, like, writing a scene, like, using this space, like, and because I've also performed with this man, or, like, we've done, like, sketch comedy together, so, like, I know how Alex uses a space, and I think Princess Bride, especially in those scenes, especially in that sword fight, just use the space really, really well, and always make it interesting. They have a random pull-up bar in that fight. That's hilarious. That's so
good.
Yeah, but I think that's, again, another very, very Alex core choice and thing. I like it. Maybe I just need to see more of your green screen work, Alex. Maybe that's what I need.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
Nice.
What'll unlock the next phase in his career is leveraging the green screen. Another just, like, interesting point of comparison between these films. Obviously, they both engage in elements of parody and subversion. There's also this, like, weird adaptational relationship where Princess Bride is just, like, a straight up adaptation-ish thing. A book exists. They share the same, like, general structure of a frame story, and Buttercup and the Dread Pirate Roberts, etc., etc. However, the nature of the frame story differs pretty significantly. It gets to it was actually this idea that you mentioned earlier, Jake, of, like, what it means to pass down a story and how we receive stories and tell stories is, like, a very, very central element of the novel, which takes a much more dour perspective in a lot of ways. But then also, very strangely, despite totally departing from its original source material, Kung Pao Enter the Fist is also kind of in this weird adaptation-ish limbo, where it is cobbling together pieces of a pre-existing thing, which, like, I feel like at surface level, you could not have, like, more different pieces of fiction but they share like building block components.
Dude, this is why we do the podcast,
in a very
man.
strange
Like
way.
literally, these movies
And-
have no right to
I
be
think it's so-
compared.
Like, one of my favorite things about Kung
That's
Pao
the
into the
point.
Fist, and I think like
No.
it's something you don't really get in these like adaptation movies, is like they show you in the credits them like making it. Like they show you the side by side comparisons of the scenes, like him getting green screened in and stuff. Like that's so cool. Like you can't get that when you're watching just like kind of a more standard remake or adaptation or something. So yeah, I think it's very cool and very fun. Which is something that I like have grown to appreciate more about this movie the older I get.
I feel like I just had I had a realization. There's some universe out there where Kung Pao Into the Fist got nominated for an Oscar, right? And if they got nominated for like their screenplay, I think it would have to be in Best Adapted Screenplay. And I think there'd be uproar. Like I could picture Twitter being like, "No, it's an original screenplay," or like, "No, it's what," and like, you know, like I think there'd be like some tension. Maybe that's why it didn't get nominated. Honestly,
Yeah, it would have been too contentious.
yeah, and Oscars are famous for not wanting contention.
That's fair. The Academy just wasn't willing to get their
It's
little
so funny to
fingies
me. I
dirty
don't-
on
it's
the
so good.
questions people wanted answered. Yeah, I just think that is like such a weird and fascinating thing these share in common. The like adaptation-ish status is wild. And I think they both leverage their source material in really interesting ways. I think Princess Bride has some slightly more intellectual things maybe to say about like why it changed or departed from its source material. But not to downplay what Kung Pao Into the Fist does. There is like, as we've called out quite a few times, a masterwork of creativity on display to create a movie from another movie using their shots, etc.
I wonder.
Truly cannot be understated.
I wonder if
Like,
it happened
that's a pretty
again.
wild
You know,
thing to
like I
do.
wonder what the next what if someone tried to approach doing this like now with like today's technology and like today's like old movie, like the movies that you can use.
Well, I think the closest we've gotten, and this is pretty different, but like the closest we've gotten is something like The Disaster Artist, right? Where it's like remaking these scenes shot for shot, you know?
That's kind of, I mean, yeah, I could see that. I just think it'd be interesting
to see. Yeah.
Maybe you should do that. Maybe this should, and it would help getting an updated, you know, because some of those jokes in Kung Pao didn't age well, but like, you know, whatever. We talked about it, but what if we just did it today? I think it'd be funny as hell.
If we took scenes from Kung Pao Into the Fist and remade them.
We just do Kung Pao Into the Fist and remake them. Like, just it's the movie that keeps on being remade, but just like keeps the back. That's kind of funny too.
At the end of the day, it becomes like a God, what's the boat metaphor?
Oh, ship of Theseus.
Yeah, the ship Theseus. But
wow, I beat Matthew to the punch on a philosophical thing.
Ship of Theseus.
Woo!
Wow.
That'd be pretty fun. I would love like a.
Oh my god. God, calm down, audience.
Okay, Craig. Hey, you're on thin ice, Craig.
Okay, now Craig's just adding salt to the wound.
Wow.
The idea of
Turning
taking
it
Kung
into
Pao
a new
Into the Fist,
movie.
and not even necessarily like recreating it straight up or something, but morphing it into an entirely new story based on its parts. That Ship of Theseus would be incredible. Imagine, like, if I was a theater or I don't know, a film professor at a university, digital media production professor, I don't fucking know, dude. That's what I would assign. I'd be like, that's your term project. It's going to account for 80% of your grade.
Interesting. It'd be like so funny. It's like, you know that one anime where they dub over it and do their own ghost stories? Yeah. It's something like that.
Is that the one where the cat goes, she's a ghost and a bitch?
Yeah.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah. There is, I think, like, this like weirdly philosophical question at the heart of doing something like that, in the way it perpetuates a piece of art that, like, when something starts to take on a life of its own, like a piece of art starts to take on a life of its own, I think is like a really cool tipping point. It's almost like, as Jake mentioned before, we live in this world where like maybe Kung Pao Enter the Fist could have really taken off and taken on sort of like this different level of cult status.
Yeah.
Sort of like what we did see happen to Princess Bride. Like, it is an absolute, not just cult classic
so much
anymore.
reverence. I mean,
It's
literally
just
when
like
the
an
pandemic
classic.
happened, like all the celebrities were recreating it in their backyard, like because they love it. Like all these actors who are like actors, they're just like, I love Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It took on a life of its own, and they worked together to, in disaster artist fashion, recreate the entire film shot for shot or as close as you can get, filming it in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
There's something really special about loving a movie so much, or just feeling like it's like really exciting so much, any piece of art, and like putting your own thing on it. And I think that's both of these films obviously have done that with like their audiences. And I love that Alex like picked that, because I know it shows me how much you genuinely love the stuff you love, and like, you're like art and entertainment and stuff. Like there's a reason you're also on this podcast too. You wouldn't be, once a week like recording stuff talking about movies if you didn't like movies. So like it's good. I like seeing that, I
wouldn't be. Oh, guys, this might be my last episode.
You wouldn't be. You wouldn't be. Damn it. It was all a ploy, actually. We've been trying to fire you, but it's been an HR nightmare. So I'm trying to make it seem like it's your idea,
Wait, am I being replaced by Craig?
Calm down. Don't put the cart before the horse there.
Yeah.
Craig, what do you have to say about that? Craig.
Just imagine the soundboard doesn't work.
I really hope the soundboard
the
randomly
number of
doesn't work.
Craig jokes we've made that just don't make any sense.
That's going to be Alex's nightmare, because he's going to go in and have to put those sounds in.
I won't.
And so just cut all of it out. If that's the case.
All the Craig stuff out?
Almost might be worse.
Please, though. Anyway, I think we're approaching maybe voting. I don't know if you guys have more thoughts or more things you would want to call out with this one.
No, I mean,
yeah, I think I feel comfortable. I feel comfy.
Let's do it. Matt, start us out. I mean, at the end of the day, which one's more me?
Yeah, at the end of the day, not at the beginning. You don't wake up and think, oh, this one's Alex. It's what you think late night, your playlist, the one is playing.
Oh, no. Tossing and turning in my bed, being like, why did I say that?
Yeah, exactly. And your most anxious self, what happened?
Okay, here's the thing. You're in bed at midnight, and you're like, Alex is watching a movie. I wonder what movies he's watching. Which movie is it?
Well, that changes my answer.
I do. Yeah, that does change the answer. And I do think of that before I go to sleep every single night.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, during weeks when we're watching movies for the show, I can wager a guess as to what he's watching late at night. That's really tough. I feel like I'm suddenly conflicted.
Vote with your heart, man.
Vote with your soul.
Vote for the way my soul sees Alex's soul.
If we were two nameless, faceless ghosts wandering in the void, what movie would your void ghost want to watch with my void ghost?
They're not gonna watch the movie.
I think I have to vote
void
for
ghost and chill.
Matthew, free us, please vote.
No, it's sorry. I'm just like I'm deep in
picturing our void ghosts.
Yeah,
we really got him on the whole 3 a.m. playlist thing. He really put himself there. You're too method right now.
If there's anything you can criticize me for, it's that I'm too method. I think based on the frame we've set up, I have to vote for Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I think that just makes sense. Without the frame, my vote might have been different, but we're too deep in for me to separate.
We're too deep in. All right, give me a frame. I want a frame.
Oh,
let him cook. Let him cook. He has something.
Look at those gears turning.
Give you a frame. You ever seen the music video for One Direction's Night Changes?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's really a cinematic masterpiece. Imagine yourself as the night progresses on many different soulful dates with Alex. Many different versions of him.
Yeah.
And
okay.
You get to the end of it, and
One Direction is playing.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. And maybe some songs from Harry's House. I know it messes up the timeline, but it's a good album. What can I say?
Hot take. I thought it wasn't a good album. But
we are not here to.
That's the frame.
We can't do that right now. We
that's
can't do
the
it right
frame.
now.
You gave me a
That's the
framework,
frame.
and I'm romanticizing my life with multiple Alexes.
It's cooking.
Which really, it just means I care about our faded, undying love. So I have to vote for Princess Bride.
The frame set it up.
The frame set it up.
All right, give me a frame.
You're on a podcast.
I literally was this close to saying the same thing. You're on a podcast with two people.
Yeah, with two of your good friends. You guys just hired an intern. And you're talking about movies that represent you.
Wow.
Right.
I feel like I've had to make more of these decisions than Jake did.
I know that we were more unanimous with mine.
I think I'm gonna pick Princess Bride.
Ice in his veins. He cares about our undying love.
He's gonna go watch the Night Changes video after this ends.
No, after this I'm gonna play Fortnite. Jake, wanna play?
Hey yo. I need to eat lunch, but Matthew, you trying to drop?
Why'd I get left out?
You said you had to go.
I do.
No.
Oh.
No,
But like, what? You didn't have to leave me out.
I assumed you had to go. Hey, we got time for a match.
We do.
Anyway.
So with that, Princess Bride is moving on. Let's wrap this up quickly so we can do some Fortnite.
We just outed ourselves so badly.
The Alex Brackett finale
I'm leaving it in.
will be Shrek versus the Princess Bride. A true insight to a man's soul. What does it tell you?
I truly feel like this is like the number 1 and 2 seed in a bracket. You know, I feel like this is a big time contender going up.
If you'd asked me going into it, that is what I would have put there. So
yeah.
Here we are. That should be a lot of fun. So join us next week for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to rate and review the show on all of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Keep an eye out. Also, this week we'll be asking for what movies you think Alex, define Alex, or like you guys listen.
What would he like? What would he like? What would he enjoy seeing?
Well, you're up at 2 a.m. You're anxious as hell. You're thinking of the Tough Cut Boys. And you're
as many people do as they drift off to bed.
As many people do. I recommend playing the Tough Cut episodes if you want to fall asleep. Wait.
If you want to stay up.
If you want to stay up a little bit later.
If you want to stay up.
Yeah.
Feel spicy.
But
spicy?
We'll be asking for those honorable mentions, and we'd love to hear them, and we'll shout them out at the beginning of the next episode.
And if you like what you heard, who should they share this episode with? Share it with your Craig. Share it with your intern.
Share it with an intern, yeah. Share it with... Yeah.
Force your employees to listen to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starts one listener at a time. And audience, it's now your job.
Yeah, come on. We're tired.
I'm not promoting the show anymore. Yeah. It's your job now.
Yeah. If you like this episode, make an Uber driver subscribe.
This is a call to action. Listeners, tough cuties, we deploy you. Operation Uber, you've been activated.
Sleeper agents around the country.
Watch our listenership actually go up though. That'd be insane.